For all those that paid tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King yesterday, kudos to you. But you really need to study who Dr. Martin Luther King really was and what his purpose was. His first name was not Martin. His first name was Michael, along with his father. They both changed their names to Martin due to the apostle in the Bible. During the time Martin Luther King came out, black people were at the point of having an actual race war. They were tired and sick and tired of the injustice, of the segregation, and of the false promise of receiving 40 acres and a mule. So, just as our other quote-unquote heroes, A. Philip Randolph, and all the rest of them, Frederick Douglass, you can just go down the line. They worked along with the CIA. They needed someone to come in and calm black people. And of course, we all know we are the most faithful when it comes to the Bible. When the Bible was introduced to your ancestors, it was all about the fear of God, fearing God. When they sang Sweet Low Sweet Chariot, coming back to carry me home, they weren't talking about freedom. They were talking about taking them home, back to where they came from. So you have someone like Martin Luther King who comes out, who was not very literate at all. I think he failed in divinity school, but they let that pass. So you had another sellout. Keep telling you, read the Boule. Not only read the Boule, look at the members of the Boule. Look at what the Boule stands for. The person that wrote all of his speeches, I think his last name was Russellman, who was homosexual, who they ran off because they thought it would be detrimental to Dr. King to have a homosexual in the civil rights movement. If you look up Dr. King, you will see that he was first in love with a white woman. And because during that time they didn't accept black men with white women, he had to let her go. But that was his first and only love. And then he married Coretta. But see, he was planted just like Obama was planted, just like everyone in history that we look up to was planted. To calm, to stop. That's why he ran on nonviolence. That's why he and Malcolm X bumped heads. Because Martin's job was to calm the people and stop them from taking arms and burning this entire United States up and tearing it up from what they built. So I do not participate in Martin Luther King. His birthday was January 15th. 5 + 1 is 6. But yet we celebrate it on January 20th. Why aren't we celebrating it on his birthday? And once he start doing a little bit too much and start sticking his nose in the Vietnam War and start realizing that where he was leading black people was down a path of death. If you read the book written by him, Are We Gonna Live in Love or in Chaos? He knew when he did that speech about seeing what was on the other side of the mountain, he knew that he was going to be killed. He knew that what he signed up for had come to an end because he started changing. He started seeing. He started seeing that his preaching of love and one day all black children will come together as one and we will be one as a people. He realized he was leading them right into death. And he started seeing what was happening with his rhetoric. So when you all celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King, like you dox each other, dox him. Dox him. It's all public record. The entire CIA report is public record. It's 74 pages long. I don't know if you all have the capacity and the patience to sit down and read it. But all of that information is going to be released. He had a habit of having orgies, sleeping with white women, sleeping with men, that his background was so dirty that they tried to use it against him. So anytime you see somebody out that you've never seen before, and all of a sudden they become the voice of the black people, you better ask yourself why and where did they come from. The same way with Obama. We didn't know him here. All of a sudden, we got a street advocate that becomes a junior senator that gets the Nobel Peace Prize, that becomes president of the United States. That has never, ever happened before. Also start realizing that every president is sworn in on the Masonic Bible. That's why Bill Clinton's inauguration and swearing in was a little late, because they had to go and get a Masonic Bible. Obama was sworn in twice, if you remember. He was sworn in outside, and he was sworn in again inside the White House. There will never be a female president. Every president that we've had has been a Mason. And in Masonry, females will not be allowed to be president of the United States. Vice president, yes. President, no. So as you dox one another, you need to start doxing all your African American heroes. Start doxing A. Philip Randolph, one of the ones who was on board for sending Marcus Garvey back to Jamaica. Why would he want to do that when Marcus Garvey was trying to free black people, to teach them independence? So instead of doxing one another, start doxing your history. Start doxing the roles that the Boule play today in Black America. Anything that happens in Black America, it is handled by the black elite. The white elitists handle their people, and the black elitists handle our people. They make every decision. They make who's going to go, who's going to stay. They make who you're going to have to sacrifice and who you're not going to have to sacrifice. So that's just a little tidbit, because we coming up on Black History Month. And I see not one viewer, I think it was one viewer that came in that want to get this $150, possibly $200 for coming up with the challenge that I put up. You still got a whole month. Reference, reference, reference. Please don't come and say I heard or somebody told me. That's not going to get over. That's not going to prove that you actually went and studied and you read. Also, please, once again, start decoding that Bible. Please start decoding it. There's codes all throughout the Bible. And the book you ought to be concentrating on is the book of Psalms. But it's a contradiction after contradiction after contradiction. And I'm not on here saying that I'm a preacher, pastor, prophetess, saint, none of those. I just take the time out and read and reference. Because back when I was in school, in 8th grade, you had to do what they call now in college a dissertation. And we didn't have computers, so you had to get index cards and go to the library and know the Dewey Decimal System. And you had to get books, read the book, take information from the book, write down the author of the book, the copyright date, what page and what paragraph you got from that book. Write them on index cards and then write your paper. So plagiarism wasn't real high, and this was in 8th grade. 8th graders today are reading at a 2nd and 3rd grade level. Black children today in school are 75 years behind due to slavery. You weren't allowed to read, you weren't allowed to write. Now they're taking cursive writing out of school. Why? Why? They started the census already in Alaska. And yes, there are Census Bureau employees that knock on your door, and you must answer, where did your ancestors originate from? Now, as light as I am, and as light as I see people on here, I'm still considered African American. So my original ancestor originated from Africa. But due to the inbreeding, really everyone is black. When you took that slave and you had them breastfeed your baby, there's blood and breast milk. So when that white baby was feeding off of, quote unquote, the mammy, that white child was taking in that black blood. Always question the question. Take some time out of your day and read some books. Go into a bookstore, black owned. Ask questions that you've always wanted answered. Stop taking on other people's personalities, other people's ideas, other people's opinions, and be yourself. If I hear I have a dream one more time, and can anyone tell me what that original march was about? I'm going to tell you. It was actually because the garbage men were going on strike. That was the best job black people could have gotten. And they weren't being paid properly. So it was a march to say, pay them the same as you pay white garbage men. But good old Mahalia Jackson had to whisper in his ear, Martin, Martin, tell him about the dream. Tell him about the dream you had. But nobody speaks about the speech that he made about we going to pick up our check. We want our check, reparations. Not one child knows that speech. The only speech they know is I have a dream. So get your little books out. And somebody other than Miss Olivia can actually sit up and educate you on who you are, where you came from, who the Boule is, what their job is concerning black people, and the power and the money that they have. Now we got Oprah Winfrey out here, a billionaire. She was introduced to the king of Syria, who I told you once before bought over $300 billion worth of planes, ammunition from Donald Trump, who laughed and said, that's like a penny coming out of your pocket because they have that oil. This king has just about wiped Yemen off the map. Those people in Yemen have absolutely nothing to do with this fight over in Iran. But this king wants to rule the entire Middle East, which, if you look at a map, is huge. Huge. It makes America look like a tiny island. So you got until February 28th. Anyone that could come up with the information, the money is yours. I don't collect money from anybody. I have 2 channels. One channel got 500 and something people on it. The other channel got 500 and something people on it. If I wanted to be on YouTube and collect money, all I got to do is get on the other channel and tell people to come to this one, or vice versa. But that's not my purpose of being on here. Shout out to Avon Love. Come out with another skit, because you be right on point. Love and light, peace and love.